Good evening at 6 o'clock in the council chambers, City of Marshfield, Tuesday, March 25th. Call to order, roll call. And actually, Natasha, would you please sign in? Thank you. Probably shouldn't start the meeting until we're all signed in. Thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item C, identify possible conflicts of interest. Seeing none, move on to item D. Public comment period, correspondence. At this time, I will recognize members in attendance wishing to address the council. Upon recognition by me, persons may address the council, first stating their name and address. Comments will be limited to no more than 5 minutes, and persons are asked to be respectful when addressing the council. No action will be taken on items regarding not on the agenda. However, the council will take comments from the public under advisement. Please note that council members will not respond to your comments or questions. Denise Sonneman.
Good evening. I want to thank you, the council, and the city also for your continued partnership with the chamber and with the development specialist position. As mentioned at the February 25th meeting, we did have a person we did hire. That's who I'm here to introduce tonight. So introduce you to Sierra Starner Heffron. She started on March 10th with the chamber and the foundation. She has a bachelor's degree in environmental analysis and design and a master's degree in urban studies. She previously worked for the city of Milwaukee as an economic development specialist. So we're very excited to have her here. We look forward to working more with you guys and for the city. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Welcome, Sierra. Any other citizen comments? Any other citizen comments? Seeing no other citizen comments, move on to item E, approval of minutes, March 11th, 2025, regular meeting. We have a motion by Alderman Stauber, second by Alderman Giles. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Fire?
Yes.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you. Staff updates. Information on April 1st referendum for public safety funding. Everett Mueller, Fire Chief.
All right, thank you. Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to update you on the referendum. City staff continues to work on the initiative to basically protect our community with the 2 personnel and the replacement of the 2 personnel. Since the last common council meeting on March 11th, we've been working hard on the following things. The listening sessions, I know some of you have been in attendance at listening sessions. I sincerely appreciate that. I know we've had members of the commission as well, and I think that really shows the volume and the ability for us to have the support we need on this. For listening sessions, we did have one at Hotel Marshfield, which is on March 13th, 2025. We had 2 members of the public who were present. They had a lot of very good questions and qualified questions. We were able to answer all of those questions, and they felt like they walked away with the right weight of information at that time. The other one we're going to have is going to be the community center, which will be March 27, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. That one I would encourage everyone to get out and see. That's going to be our last listening session, the last opportunity we'll have to do this. And I'd like to see everybody come out, as many people as can possibly get out. Today I had an opportunity to go over to 601 South Cedar and also 606 South Walnut. I really had some good presentation at that place, each one of those places. 25 and anywhere from 27 people at another one. So it was a good turnout. They had a lot of very good comprehensive questions, and I believe we were able to answer those questions. Commissioner Panker was able to come with me and answered some questions at the commission level, and I thought it was something that was well received for them. Some of the other thing you'll see is like the news articles, news agencies and social media. News Channel 7, we worked with them. News Channel 9. Unfocused did an article, at least 2 articles for us. And then News Herald, Hub City Times, and also the Marshfield Broadcasting. They've been working really hard on their side to get some of that information pushed out. They've been working with the Facebook page and getting those publications out. We've seen some pretty good interventions on there. A lot of people responding back. I think we had something like 2,000 people that viewed the one video Some of the shorter views, but overall, it was a good view on it. One of the I guess the one thing I really wanted to cover this evening is what we're asking for. I think there's been a little bit of confusion on what exactly we're asking for. When you look at the referendum question, it's a confusing question, and it's something that literally is developed at the state level, and it's pushed out by the legislature. Not much we can have. But again, we're going to be asking for $256,903 to hire and retain 2 firefighter paramedics, which will return the fire department to 2021 staffing levels with 12 firefighters per shift. That's what we're looking to do. So I think if we clearly state that, that's what we're asking for. One common question that came up today, and I appreciate Natasha for reaching out about this one. Something about residential homeowners, the only ones paying for the referendum. And I want to just clear that up. It's not just residential that are going to be paying for this. It's really the assessed value of all the properties. So that means commercial, that means residential, that means industrial. And it will be based on $13.28 per 100,000 of assessed value. So everyone will be a part of this. It's not just the residential. And I think where the misnomer came in on that is truly from the flyer that we had. It kind of just points out the residents. But it really is the bigger piece of it. Those were mailed out to all the residential parts. So it was a thing that went to the residents. So there could have been some confusion on that. At the end of the day, you know, if this does pass and the community votes yes on this, we will be looking to return to our 2021 staffing, bringing us back to 12. Again, getting that minimum staffing up to 9. And really, we're going to have more personnel to go ahead and respond to calls. We're going to be able to take care of those emergencies with the concurrent calls. And we're going to be able to take care of a lot of other things. So this is going to be something that's going to help the fire department and something this community can be proud of. And I just appreciate the opportunity to give you an update on this. That's really all I have to conclude at this point. But you can always reach out with any questions you may have. I can't take any questions at this point, but I'm always available. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Mueller. Item G, my comments. I have 3 items this evening. First, if you're interested in being on a committee, commission, or board, please send an email to my office. Include your name, address, phone number, and email, also a short bio with qualifications and why you would like to serve. Looking forward to seeing some letters come in. This is a great way to have your voice heard and learn more about Marshfield. Also follow the city website, which the communications department is doing a dynamite job at, and giving you some extra insights to what the committees are all about. You can also call me with concerns or questions, 715-486-2001. The second item, Matt from Marshfield Tourism reached out to me, Visit Marshfield, and they're going to start doing their tourism grants very soon in April, so watch for those coming up. And the third, in-person absentee voting hours. They started Tuesday, March 18th through Friday, March 28th. Monday through Thursday, 7:30 to 3:30, Friday, 7:30 to noon. And again, there'll be no voting taking place on Monday, March 31st. But April 1st, if you have not voted, go to your voting poll and vote, vote, vote. And thank you very much. Item H, council comments. I see no, oh boy, Russ, you got right under the wire there. Russ?
I don't have I have a question, and maybe the clerk can help. So the final listening session for the firefighter referendum, March 27th, what time is that?
6:30.
Pardon? What time?
6:30.
6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, comments? Alderman Werman?
Thank you. Sorry, I was looking for the react button on Zoom and I forget that it's not the easiest to find. I just wanted to drop a note. There's been a ton of youth in the community lately doing some really great things. I wanted to congratulate all of them. I know most recently my daughter and I were lucky enough to watch the Marshfield basketball team compete at state, but we've also kept note on some of the other youth. Ava Gardner was a repeat wrestling champion this year. Anna Becker from Columbus went on to the state tournament this year. So just so much going on. And I would love to see us try to acknowledge that a little bit more in the future. I know it's really hard because there's a lot going on, but if we could partner with the school board or something, but just a lot of great youth activities going on, and kudos to everyone in the community for supporting them and those youth for doing such a great job.
Thank you, Alderman Werman. Anyone else? Seeing none, item I, City Administrator's update.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this time of year, it's sometimes hard to keep track of the meetings with the change of council after the election. So I just kind of want to walk through this real briefly, just to make sure everybody understands what's coming up this month. April 8th, 2 weeks from tonight, will be the regular council meeting at 6 p.m. But then on the 15th of April, it'll be a special night. We'll have the JL meeting, probably at 4:30. Keep an eye on that one. That they need more time, it appears, for that meeting. At 5:30 will be the Finance, Budget, and Personnel Committee meeting. And then at 6:15, we'll have what's called the organizational meeting. Those of you who've been on council for a little while remember what that's about. That's where the new council will be seated. The mayor will make her appointments subject to approval at the next council meeting and go through some of the logistical things to start a new council session. And then at 7 o'clock, the Plan Commission will have its regular meeting. And then on the 22nd, a week later, there'll be the regular council meeting at 6 o'clock. But prior to that, we did this, I believe, last year. We want to do it again this year. At 5 o'clock, there'll be a special council session, and that will be on orientation, if you will. We encourage council, new members especially, to work with the city clerk and staff to to meet with the department heads and those kind of things. But this orientation is on things like open meetings, public records, ethics issues, whatever it is, mainly to be covered by the city attorney. And it was really good last year. We want to do it again as a refresher for those who've heard it before, and as a first time maybe if you haven't heard that. So 5 o'clock on the 22nd will be council orientation, and then the regular meeting at 6 o'clock. That's all I have.
Thank you, Administrator Barg. Item J, reports from commissions, boards, and committees. Seeing none, consent agenda, meeting minutes, reports. Alderman Tompkins makes a motion. Alderman Raggles seconds. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Fire?
Yes.
Mr. Werman?
In the history of the country.
Yeah.
That motion passes. Thank you.
On an unsecure line, you will keep your job.
And we can skip item L because there's no action.
Can we do a point of order just to ask the
Mike Fire, is there something going on in the background?
Yes?
Can you maybe mute that? Because we can hear everything that's happening and we can't hear it yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Hey, Terry, can you mute that? They can hear all this tonight.
Thank them and thank you. Moving on to item M, request to approve budget resolution number 11-2025, increasing 2025 budget for the 205 Fund Economic Development by $7,000 for an economic development organizational structure analysis presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, on March 11th, the council accepted a proposal from Redevelopment Resources. Kristen Fish had submitted that. We've worked with her in the past. And that's for an economic development organizational structure analysis. A lot of words, but basically what it means is how do we do economic development? We've had, as I mentioned, the last meeting, we've had some turnover. We've had some things happen. The Economic Development Board is no longer, changes in position. And the question has come up, how do we do economic development? Are we doing it the most effectively and efficiently that we can? Is there a better structure to bring about the kind of growth we want to see in our community? So anyway, the council was voting for it. They were very supportive of it. At that time, we did not have an identified funding source. So the purpose of this budget resolution is to increase the 205 Economic Development Fund by $7,000, slightly over the amount that was included in Kristen's proposal of $6,240. But there's always a possibility of ancillary costs and those type of things. We don't want to have to come back to you with a budget resolution for $400 or something. So staff's recommendation would be council's approval of attached budget resolution 11-2025 to increase the budget for the 205 fund for 2025 by $7,000 to cover the cost of the proposal and any other minor expenses that might arise.
We have a motion by Alderman Stauber, second by Alderman Tompkins. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote. Mike, did you have a comment? Oh,
No.
okay. Mike O'Reilly has a comment. Okay, I didn't see a button on.
Thank you.
I apologize.
I just wanted to mention, I received an email from a constituent today about this, and he had a lot of frustration. He was frustrated with the fact that the Economic Development Board was dissolved. He was frustrated with the fact that it's the same players, same games. He, to kind of summarize it, said, there's no reason that the people here cannot do this with AI. And it was a long list of stuff. And as much as I understand that we do need the economic development aspect of it, I think we just heard another economic development resource that we have through the chamber. So in respect of this constituent, I will be voting no on this tonight, and I completely understand his pain. We're spending another $7,000 that I don't necessarily know that we're going to get what we want to get. It's going to be almost all the same players that are involved with this other than this one person. So I just wanted to share that, and I guess I agree with that person. So thank you.
Yes, Steve.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with the fact that the same players are largely in the game. I think the issue, as far as I'm concerned, is that are we working together effectively? You know, we've talked about this before. We have Main Street, Mackey, Visit Marshfield, City, and others. And have we set this up in a way that we are successful in terms of who does what, how they do it, how we interact with each other? Is there overlap? Are there gaps? So I appreciate the concern. I just think it's bigger than whether or not the players are largely the same, but I'll take that for what is represented.
Alderman Coran.
Steve, can you walk through what the next steps, if we do this analysis, what do we do with the results? And what I'm worried about is I don't want to add to our very expensive bookshelf.
Yeah.
Somewhere in this building, you know.
No, that's a great question. And if you look at the bottom of and I put it in the packet at the bottom of Kristen's proposal, it's relatively tightly focused. It's, you know, a little bit less than 40 hours, but it says our team will meet with staff from City, Mackey, Main Street, Visit Marshfield, Marshfield Utilities, elected officials, CDA, and others to gather information, their thoughts on what we're doing. Are we doing well? Where are we falling short? And then to take a look at how we might be able to restructure it to make things happen that are falling through the cracks now. So I don't think it's intended to be a long project. I don't think, if we're sitting here talking about this project in November, I think something's gone haywire. But just a good snapshot from somebody who's done this in other communities, who's been in economic development for a long time, to say, look, here's what I see. Here's 4 things you might want to do to make it better. This group maybe should focus more on commercial and less on, you know, industrial or whatever it is. I'm making it up as I go along here, but and here's how we got to work together. Perhaps more formal and informal communication between the players in ways that we can learn from her. So going back to your next step, I think it's going to be her starting the ball and setting up these meetings with us, with some of you undoubtedly too, and getting feedback on how we're doing today and where the frustrations and the desires are to improve. And then ultimately she'll come up with recommendations when this is over, after meeting with people, boiling it down, and parsing through the information.
And that's a presentation she'll make to the council, or is it just?
I would assume so, yeah. No, that's my intent is that she comes and gives a report to this body and inviting others, certainly. I mean, if we've been in talking to Visit Marshfield and Mackey, we want them to know that on July 10th or whatever it is, that report is forthcoming for review and discussion.
Alderman Spiros.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna also comment that I also heard a couple people regarding this. Their question was, why do you guys always pay for studies? Why do you always pay for people to come in from outside of the community to tell you how to do your work? And that was the general, you know, when I drilled down to figure out what their complaint was. And I tend to agree with that. I mean, right now, you know, we're facing a housing crisis, and we put together a housing committee. You know, we've been diligently going through that and working on steps, you know, as a group. We didn't bring in any specialist or anything like that. And these are relatively the same players. Everybody knows each other. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not anybody in those groups that don't know the other people. I don't know why we have to pay for somebody that's from outside of the community to come in and tell us how to function. And I tend to agree with that statement. And so I will not be supporting this, not because I don't support economic development, but I do support saving money. And I think our team is good enough to be locked into a room together and to come up with their own solutions.
Next, Alderman Stauber, then Alderman Weigel, then Alderman Werman, then Alderman Tompkins. So then Alderman Werman, you know that you're number 3. You're actually number 1, but you're number 3. Alderman Stauber?
So, changing topics a little bit, Steve, would it be too much, or would it be scope creep to expect an inventory of our parks, our business parks, industrial parks. This is something I'd asked of Ms. Edmondson when she accepted the position of Community Development Director, Assistant Administrator. And I don't think anyone on the council really had a good handle on what the missions of those various parks are. And again, I don't want to add to the scope of this consultant coming in, but I think it's something that the council badly needs to know, because it's going to help us with our strategic planning session in June, I believe.
Yeah, no, you make a good point. I don't know if it can be incorporated into this or not. I mean, the focus of this is really intended to be structure. Whether we expand this particular, proposal to include that, I'm sure the price will go up and the time involved will go up. Or if we make that a separate, I'll leave that to this body, whether you want to have a separate event out of that. I know her focus, and I know she's done this in other communities, is largely going to be, here's what I've seen, and I'll just make names up: Wapaka, Stevens Point, whatever. But she also is very familiar with commercial industrial parks, and could probably do the same type of work that you're describing.
Yeah,
it just wasn't intended initially, and I'll leave it to the body and yourself.
No, now that I think about it, it could be one of the action items that come out of the recommendation as well. So maybe Mackey is given a task, and Main Street is given a task, and that will help answer the question about what we're doing. So,
yeah,
thank you.
Not a bad idea.
Alderman Weigel?
Have we done this before? And if so, when was the last time we did this?
I don't know that we've ever done it. We did in fact, Kristen did it back in 2014, our really one and only heavily detailed economic development plan for the city. And that plan did involve, if you look at it, and I can share it with you, some of you probably haven't seen it, we haven't paraded it out for a while. It's getting old now, it's 11 years past. But it involved, here's all the things we want to do, here's all the categories we need to work on, and here's the players. And maybe it would have goal number 1A, and it would be, here's what we need to do, and the players are Mackey and the city and Visit Marshfield. And there'd be 1B, and the players might be Main Street and the city. So it laid out who is supposed to do what to accomplish those goals. And like most every plan you ever see, it's always the same. Some things get done completely, some things get started and never finished, and some things never happen at all. And I think we even reviewed that plan with EDB back in 2021 or 22. So, but now, going back to your question, have we ever had a specific study on how we do it, how we structure it, who's responsible for what, how do we make sure that we're getting the most out of the players without overlap, and function effectively when somebody's looking to open a business, expand a business, they've got workforce development needs, whose responsibility that is that, they've got maybe childcare issues that they need for their workforce, whatever. How are we getting together the players to make sure that the appropriate people are addressing the concerns as a team? I don't think we've ever done that in that realm. Not that I'm aware of in my time here.
Alderman Werman?
Thank you. To kind of counteract Ms. Spiros and Mr. O'Reilly, I totally agree. I don't like the spending of money if we can avoid it. In this specific case, I feel like what we're doing is not pulling in the same players and doing what we were doing with the EDB. I feel like we're more or less interviewing and consulting them to find out what they currently do, and then we're basically, like Steve said, we're taking them and kind of assigning them to say, this is what we should be doing with this group to better plan strategically, which is what a big goal of ours was coming into this year. And that's why I think this is a good plan. I mean, we could walk away at the end of this and say it was a total wash, but I would rather take that risk here than not do it at all and kind of just fumble this for the next year again. And that's where I felt like we were at with the EDB. So at this point, I think it's a good option for us, and I think it'd be good to support. And then, it could be one of those things we get to the end and we eat our words. But I think it's a good gamble on this one, and it's going to tie perfectly into our strategic planning.
Alderman Tompkins?
Thank you. I would want two things to come out of this besides knowing the strengths of the different organizations and the focuses that each organization should, what piece of the pie they should focus on. I would want to know who's coordinating all like someone needs to have that job. Whether, it's Sierra at Mackey or it's you or someone needs to say, I'm the coordinator. I'm making sure that everyone's got the information. If we don't identify that person, we're not going to move forward. The second is who is overseeing that these goals are actually being met. And I think that would be the council's job. So I think that, you know, these goals, we have these goals for economic development, and we're going to have a report. And, you know, Visit Marshfield will give a report, or Mackey will give a report saying, these are the goals I've been assigned with. This is how much of that goal I've accomplished this year or this quarter. And it would be tracked. If we don't do a central coordinator person, and if we don't track these goals, then it is just something that's going to sit on a shelf. But one thing that I do think is important is to have someone who interviews these different people, because different groups get frustrated. And they get frustrated that I can do this, but no one's letting me do it, or I don't want to do this. So having that outside person to sort of get all of that on the table, and then they kind of, you know, say, this is what's going to work for you guys, then you don't get people who are, you know, oh, you stepped on my toes or things like that. So there is a benefit to having that outside person, but I definitely would like to see something solid, that so we know that it actually is going to be helpful.
Well, if I can respond to that for a second, yeah, the first part is incumbent upon Kristen and Redevelopment Resources, because I really believe among that set of recommendations you're going to hear as a body sometime down the road, it's going to include that somebody needs to be a solid, strong point person to coordinate. The second part about, you know, tracking to make sure things happen, that's going to be incumbent upon us. And that's why you sometimes hear people say things become another study on a shelf, and you dust it off and go, yeah, we looked at this back in 2025. That can't happen, but that's going to be incumbent on us with oversight by you and maybe regular reports. Okay, it's been 60 days. Where are we at on what we said we were going to do in goal number 2? By that time, Kristen will not be probably in the picture. Again, I really think that the best thing that Kristen brings, and I've known Kristen for a long time, is a fresh set of eyes. Somebody who walks in and they've worked in many communities, they've seen things work, they've seen things fail, comes in, looks at the model, meets people, find out how the model is working, where it's failing, and can say, look, these are the things I think you need to do if you want to be successful in the future. And then you take them and maybe you adopt all of them. Some of them you say, well, I disagree with you, but it's going to be a good professional recommendation as to how we can move economic development forward in a meaningful way, because that's what she does.
Mike, did you have a comment? Oh, you're on mute.
I think everybody that's commenting and had questions is a good reason why we should do this product, because being in the government long enough to know that some of these issues we do like this will probably help. A lot of these studies are prolonged and most of your studies take money. This one's going to give us the reason why we should do this, and it'll give us more reason why everything should get done. And I think that it's a minimal amount of money to get what we're going to get out of it, because all 5 of these or 4 of these organizations can meet together, but you have to have somebody adding questions and getting the mind thought going in a different way. And I think you should approve it. Thank you.
Alderman Stauber?
I just wanted to add on, to me, good leadership is knowing when you need help. So Steve, thanks for bringing this forward, and I look forward to the outcome.
Thank you.
Alderman Curran?
So I remember the 2014 study, now that you mentioned it, and at the Main Street, when I was a Main Street board member then, and then at the bid board, we did utilize that as kind of a game plan. Was Jason Angel here back then?
Yep, he was.
So Jason would present it, and it was a giant checklist. Some things were very applicable to things we could do, some things were impossible, but I do remember it was effective. It gave us some guidance across multiple organizations or committees to move in one direction. So I just wanted to say that. I do remember it, we did use it, was effective.
Yeah, I think like all studies, 4 or 5 years out, it maybe phase off a little bit. And conditions change by that point too, but I agree with you. I was here then, and I think we clicked off quite a few things during that time, or at least made progress on them.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Fire?
Yes.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
That motion carries. But it said it failed
7
because
affirmative.
we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Sometimes it counts you in that calculation. It does pass.
Okay.
It-
Okay,
it
I'm just
takes
reading what it
7.
says here.
Yeah,
You're right.
seven-
I wanna make
seven
sure.
affirmative
Yep,
votes,
7
7 to 2.
3. Yep,
Yeah.
so we have 7 to 3. Or
Oh,
2.
great.
Okay, thank you. I just want to make sure everything is
Yep.
correct.
Oh.
Yes, absolutely.
Good call.
Item N, suggest items for further agendas. Seeing none. Pardon me? Well, we
had
No,
7-2.
7-2.
Yeah.
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah.
7-2.
No matter how many there are, we need 7 affirmative votes.
Yes, we have
And
7.
that was a trigger point. Yeah.
Okay, one more time, suggest items for future agendas. Seeing none. Item O, adjourn to closed session under Wisconsin statute, chapter 19.851G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or likely to become involved, claim for excessive assessment, and under Wisconsin statute, chapter 19.851E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require closed session. Lien for space on 2nd Street Community Center. We have a motion by Alderman Spiro, second by Alderman Giles. All those in favor to go into closed session, please vote.
Mr. Fire?
Yes.
Mr. Werman?
Yeah.
We will take a 5-minute recess. An open session, action on matters discussed in closed session if appropriate. We have a motion on the table by Alderman Weigel, and Alderman Weigel, what is your motion?
I move to deny the claim filed by Mill Creek Youth Foundation for the claim of excessive tax assessment for the property located at 4001 South Business Park Avenue, parcel 3303548K, and direct legal counsel to prepare the notice.
And Alderman Giles, do you second that? Any other further discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
That motion passes. Thank you. Any other action to be taken in open session? Seeing none, who vote? Motion by Alderman Weigel.
Well, that's to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. I didn't ask yet, but you can also, and second by Alderman Tompkins, please vote to go adjourn. Gee, it's a tough word on Tuesday night.
Mr. Werman?
Yes.
We are adjourned. Thank you.